again, everyone, and welcome back to episode 41 of the Balanced Natural Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Maz, and I would like to talk today about the idea that our state of health and vitality is very much to do with our state of charge. So, in the same way that if our phone or device or even car for many these days runs out of charge, we don't expect it to magically continue to go on as normal or to not have any issues or warning lights come up. And we take the right steps to recharge it so that it can continue to perform at an optimal level. And us humans are no different. So we have the ability to hold and gain and capacitate charge or chi and various forms of chi. And the extent to which that chi or that charge is abundant and appropriate in our bodies, the extent to which it is well regulated and harmonized and not out of whack, so there's too much, say, up above and not enough down below, or if it's holding too much but not releasing enough. So long as that charge and that chi is regulated and we can hold it and capacitate it and recharge from the things that we do every day, then that leads to a state of vital health, vibrant wellness, being able to respond to life's challenges, being able to detox things, and I say detox in inverted commas, in quotation marks, because our bodies are always detoxing. It's one of our many superpowers. But having abundant chi or abundant energy or charge allows us to deal with these appropriately and bounce back from the ups and downs and adventures of life. And Chinese medicine has a deep understanding of this idea that at the heart of health is our ability to hold charge, to hold energy, and to course it through our bodies in an efficient and harmonious way. So without any tangles or snags or roadblocks anywhere or deficient areas anywhere. So in Chinese medicine, we have this concept of the three treasures. So it's also in Taoist thought as well. So Taoism is a philosophy of aligning with the cycles of life and the cycles of nature, and it underpins a lot of our Chinese medicine understanding of health and healing. So this idea of the three treasures is the three vital substances that are essential to our vibrant life and experience of this life, our vibrant health and wellness and consciousness connection to everything around us. And these three treasures are the qi, the jing, and the shen. So qi is our energy, and the many different types of qi that we talk about in Chinese medicine run many aspects of our physiology. So we've got qi, for example, that digests and absorbs our food. We've got qi that looks after the fluid metabolism, qi that helps us regulate with the exterior so that we don't get sick, in quotation marks, from outside influences, and so many others. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about the many ways that we can charge up our qi and regulate it as we go through this episode. So in addition to our qi, we have our jing, which is often translated as essence. Some people think of it as our DNA or our genes or genetic endowment. It's what our parents and our ancestors have bequeathed to us from their life experiences and how they have lived and looked after their own qi and their jing and their shen as well. So we have this idea that our jing is for life. So it's like a security net or like a trust fund that we don't want to dip into. So when we use up too much of our daily qi, our daily charge, so if we pull really long hours or we don't feed ourselves enough or we fast inappropriately or so many other practices that are rife in the modern day, if we do those things, then we overdraw our daily qi energy account and we start to dip into our savings. So those long-term savings of jing that are there to ensure that we age well and vibrantly through every stage of life. So when I was in China and I was speaking to recently another Chinese doctor friend of mine, we were both remarking on how vibrant and engaged and mobile the older generations are there. They're jumping around, they're doing their qigong and tai chi in the parks in the morning, riding their bikes everywhere. Not a gym to be seen where I was. And people are just incorporating movement in a clever Chinese medicine way to charge up their qi, and also they're not overdrawing their jing to make sure that they age vibrantly and well and feel great at every stage of life, ideally. So that's Jing. And thirdly, we have Shen, which is our spark of life or consciousness. It's our awareness of life around us. And I also think of it as the more that we are in alignment with our true expression of self, so the more that we're true to living the life that is meant for us, that our soul's intended for us, that we're living in integrity with how we think and speak and move, then the clearer and more vibrant the Shen is. And between the three treasures, there's an interrelation. So I think that the clearer and brighter the Shen or the spirit or spark of life or consciousness is, the less tangled that is, then the more our chi is powered up as well. I think there's a direct relationship there. And for example, the chi and the jing are connected because if we overdraw our daily energy, we start to dip into the jing. And there is a lot of discussion in Chinese medicine circles as to whether our Jing, so our long term trust fund, is able to be replenished through careful living and through nourishing life every day, or once we've drained it, is it drained for good? And I like to think that anything's possible. I know that I certainly lived in a way that was absolutely draining my Jing, and my health was screaming at me until I had to stop and listen. And I feel that through the way that I have lived to nourish my life and to boost my chi every day and live in alignment with my life's purpose, I absolutely feel more vibrant now than I did 20 years ago. So I guess time will tell as I continue to move through life, but I think I do believe anything is possible if we put in the intent and the love and the care for body, mind, and soul. So, to get a little bit nerdy for a bit, I've talked in previous episodes, I think it was around the 16, 17, 18 or so, about how we are beings of light. So, we have biophotons, which are little packets of light energy. So, we are energetic light beings, and these emit from us and move through us at different rates depending on the time of the year, depending on what the cosmos is doing, and depending upon our state of health. And also, I've touched on the fact that different energy healers and Qigong practitioners can move large amounts of energy through their bodies as well. And on top of the idea of biophotons as a way of charge and electricity moving through the body, we also have the idea of negative ions and negative charge, and positive ions and positive charge. So I'm sure many of us have experienced the feeling of well-being and expansion when we're by the ocean. That's definitely me, or at a waterfall, or even after a thunderstorm. So these environments have something in common, and they're all rich in negative ions or negative charge. So when we're in these environments, our bodies take on this beautiful negative charge. We breathe in these ions, and our bodies take on that lovely charge, which is so beneficial to our health. So scientists are realizing more and more with modern research that it's actually a negative charge, or having a greater preponderance of electrons, which are negative, or negative ions in and around our bodies, leads to a greater state of health. And this is something that the ancients knew. They knew it about forest bathing or things like grounding. So we know, for example, that when we ground, we put our bare feet or bare bodies on the earth, we exchange electrons with the earth, and we gain those negative ions, we gain negative charge from the earth, which is pretty amazing, isn't it? Like, we've got all these new scientific discoveries telling us about ways that we can biohack and boost our charge. But actually, it's great to know that these healing therapies from Mother Nature are always available to us. Another great donor of electrons and negative charge are our pets. So often they'll be out there outdoors soaking up the sun. My dog will often go lie on the earth and just bask in the sunlight and be like a little solar panel. And then she comes in, and when I pat her, or when she comes and leans next to me, It's like this beneficial charge of beautiful negative ions that she's harvested and collected and charged her body up with, and she's generously sharing. And our furry friends are always doing this for us. They're very amazing and kind to us in that way. So we've talked about negative charge. What about positive charge? It would be tempting to think that because we have the association of positive being beneficial, that it might be beneficial for our health. But actually, the opposite is true. So we are understanding with modern research more and more that environments in which there is a preponderance of positive charge or positive ions are often disruptive, unsettling, angry making, even in the case of some positively charged winds, but they're not beneficial to health. So in Chinese medicine, we're always looking to recharge our bodies with those vital electrons, that vital negative charge, to balance out the negative positive influence, if that makes sense. So that detrimental positive charge. So some environments in which we might have a greater preponderance of that positive charge are in high humidity, very dusty environments, or even with certain winds. So there's certain winds around the world that are famous for driving people mad, and these have been discovered to have a higher positive charge. So they're stealing electrons from us and they're derailing our charge, derailing our vitality. So then we need to do extra measures to bring back electrons. So some of the modern substances, before I go deeper on the Chinese medicine ways that we have of boosting our charge, but some of the modern ways are electron donors like vitamin C, for example. So many of us might have heard about intravenous vitamin C, liposomal vitamin C for all sorts of health concerns. And the reason why it's got such a broad spectrum of applications, in my opinion, is because it's such a powerful electron donor. So when people are depleted of charge and they're facing certain chronic health conditions or serious health conditions, then having this high dose vitamin C can give them that vital boost of electrons, of negative charge, so that their bodies then have the energy to do what they already know how to do. Like our bodies always want to heal. Sometimes they're just low on charge and need to recharge. So other electron donors are things like DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide. I did a little post on this a while ago, but it's used by athletes and racehorses for injuries, as well as a whole host of other situations, but it really speeds healing. And I did a bone fracture on my shin, I think a year ago now. Yes, surfing, and it was very swollen, very painful. Putting DMSO instantly reduced the swelling down by about 50%. So that was pretty amazing. So DMSO is another one, and things like methylene blue, which you might have heard about. These are newer things that are becoming more popular, also an electron donor. Another practice that can boost negative charge is the practice of coffee enemas. So, coffee is an electron donor, and introducing coffee into the internal organs associated with elimination and processing and detoxification can really power up their processes. So, if there's been a real backlog in the function in these areas, or say if there's been long standing adaptations in response to, say, certain health inputs, or if there's really intense symptoms, then something like a coffee enema can be a really great way to charge up the chi and the function of those organs in a really local and targeted way. Another area in which the idea of charge is important is that of structured water. And this is a topic that I've talked about in several podcasts already. And this is the idea that all water is not all equal. So basically, we have structured water and we have bulk water. And structured water, as its name suggests, is more highly organized, and there is a separation of charges, which means that it can act like a battery. So it's much more vital and alive. And when we're healthy, the water in our bodies, in our cells, in our tissues, our interstitial fluid is comprised of structured water. And when we are losing charge, or when we're losing that vitality and organization of the water in our body, that's when things can get clouded, when messages can get disrupted because we've lost that structuring. So maybe the messages aren't moving as clearly through the body, or maybe they're getting scrambled because things are tangled and knotted. So getting our bio water or our body water to be structured and coherent is another simple way that we can boost our vitality and vibrant health. And one of the simplest ways to structure water is heat. It's infrared heat or infrared wavelengths, which is why going out in the sun, getting as much sun on as much of your skin at different times of day to harness the different wavelengths is really important. It's why keeping ourselves warm is important, and also why, as we talk about in Chinese medicine all the time, it's so important what we put inside our bodies. So every time we eat and drink, it's a really important opportunity to influence the structure and the health and the function of our internal organs. So if we choose to drink cooked and warm food and drink, that's an instant boost, an instant infrared heat boost to our internal organs, which then helps them to maintain their structured water, which helps to maintain their charge, their chi, and their function. Not only that, not only does it structure the bio water, but also when we drink and eat warm things, then we're keeping our stomach supple and warm, and our stomach needs to be relaxed and supple, like it's a muscle, so it needs to be warm in order to function well. So in order to digest our food, to release enzymes and acids, so that that food can be appropriately digested and then absorbed. So, seeing as I've segued into the ways that Chinese medicine can maintain negative charge and keep our bodies healthy, capacitated, and full of qi, I'd like to talk about some of the other ways that Chinese medicine has understood how to maintain this vital charge for us for the many millennia that it has been around. And this is through things like acupuncture and acupressure. So, moving the channels, moving the energy through the channels. The channels are the spaces between the fascia compartments, and fascia is semiconductive. It responds to piezoelectricity, so that means the electricity that is created through mechanical movement or touch, for example, and also through the metal needles, which conduct the doctor's own chi when they're working with the patient. So, absolutely. Acupuncture, acupressure, mechanical movement of the points and the channels, also through Qigong and Tai Chi and movement, linking breath and muscle and tendon and all the body tissues, as well as our intent. So that's our Shen, or our consciousness. So it's linking all of those vital aspects of mind, body, soul, connecting us to the environment with the breath, and also if we're doing it outside, hopefully with our feet on the ground if it's not too cold, and our faces to the sun, we're connecting with Mama Earth and getting all that beautiful charge as well. So, in addition to the movement practices and practices around the mobilizing the channels, we also have the herbs, and our dietary therapy is founded on or centered around a lot of antioxidant herbs and foods. So, if you are at all interested in the health and wellness space these days, I'm sure you've seen all of the ads screaming about the antioxidant qualities of their supplements or tablets and capsules. But the fact is that there are antioxidants all around us from Mother Nature. And in my opinion, that is the best way to get them. So many of the herbs that we use are packed full of antioxidants. So things like ginger and ginseng and tulsi and turmeric, full of antioxidants. And when we use them not only in our herbal medicine, but in our herbal teas or in the foods that we eat, then we are gaining all of those benefits. The antioxidants work by protecting against free radicals. That's another term you might have heard about. And free radicals are little, well, they like to call them baddies, but I think everything has a place. So free radicals scavenge electrons. They steal electrons, basically. So they steal that negative charge. So the more that we have antioxidant foods and herbs, then the more that we can protect or buffer against that loss of negative charge. So, I talked in the beginning of the episode that it's not just our ability to hold and maintain charge, but also our ability to distribute that charge appropriately and harmoniously through the body. So, Chinese medicine understands this very well. We have a saying that where there is free flow, there is no pain, and where there is pain, there is no free flow. So, we understand that it's really important to keep the meridian and energetic pathways untangled and open so that communication can be clear and direct and not get scrambled along the way. So, to that end, movement practices are a wonderful way to regulate and open and course the channels and meridians. So, things like obviously Qigong, yoga, Tai Chi, massage, acupressure, self massage, acupuncture, and also things that link rhythmic movement with breath and intent. So, exercises or activities like swimming or walking, and ideally, we're doing these without any other distractions. So that allows us to have full presence and awareness on all aspects of our being. So, how our bodies are moving, how our breath is moving, where is our intent, where is our consciousness, how are we interfacing with the environment and the world around us. So, all of these ways can be a wonderful way to harmonize our chi and to make sure that our pathways are untangled and clear and open so that all of that vital information and energy can get where it needs to when it needs to. So, another way that we can support clear communication and movement of energy and chi through our bodies is to have integrity and clarity with how we move through the world. So, are we saying what we think? Are we thinking what we feel? Are these aspects of our being in alignment? And are we moving through the world in a way that fits with our heart's desires and who we are? So when we have to stifle ourselves or stifle our expression, that can be a way that can bring some tangling to our energy field and our energy pathways. So the more that we come into clarity and coherence and integrity about our everyday, then the more clarity and openness and harmony we have in our energetic pathways as well. And I often say it's not just about what we add in that can boost our health, but also just as much it is about what we take out that might be disrupting our health. So there are things that can disrupt the coherence of our flow of our energy pathways, and there are things in the world that can also steal our negative beneficial charge. So things that can have a more positive charge or steal electrons are things like, unsurprisingly, aircon, which Chinese medicine doctors are never a fan of anyway because it's often so brutally cold. But very often, aircon systems will pump out positively charged air, which is then depleting our own electrons in an effort to balance out, because there'll always be a balancing of charges when there's an imbalance between them. And other things that can disrupt that are things like non native EMFs. So they are discoherent. So things like electrosmog, dirty electricity wiring in the walls. It can be things like 5G, all of the smart devices all around us. Like when we think about it, they are transmitting data between them, right? So, what is that doing to the energy fields of our bodies and the energy movement within our bodies as well? Like, if we are surrounded in a soup of information, what's to say that it is coherent and that it is harmonious and in symphony with the particular frequency of our bodies as well? So that's why allowing more native frequencies into our everyday or natural frequencies, because we are natural living beings, and the more that we align with natural living frequencies, the more we can potentiate our own health and wellness in that way. So that's sunlight, feet on the earth, forest bathing, all of the things that I always talk about. I'll also add that many chemicals or additives or things that maybe don't have a place in our food or personal care products or in our healthcare, that many of these are toxins that work by acting like free radicals that steal our electrons. So they are depleting our charge as well. So just being mindful of that and looking at ways that we can increase our charge and removing the things that might dim that light, that vitality that is within us all. So I hope this has been interesting. If you found it helpful, please share with someone else who might benefit from it as well. And please let me know your thoughts or anything else that you'd like me to talk about in future episodes. I have been talking about my courses, but they are coming, I promise. And one of them is about how to live in alignment with every aspect of our being. So we'll be touching more on this when we talk about Jing and Shen, the two of the three treasures that we haven't touched on as much today. And another course will be about looking after our spleens and the earth element and countering dampness, which many of you have heard me or other Chinese doctors talk about, the dreaded damp. So if you'd like to know more about those, make sure to sign up to my newsletter. The link is in the notes or via my website as well. And I'm on all the socials as well, so feel free to follow me there. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Wishing you all the best.